So let me describe to you the Scrum process in a nutshell. It includes artifacts, the things that you produce. It includes rituals, which are the meetings that you have, and it includes actors' roles. The Scrum process itself is very lightweight. It's designed to be very, very flexible and allow people to sort of customize it to however their culture works, however many people they have, the kind of software they're developing. It's even been used in things like there's a group called Wikispeed that builds a new street legal 100-mile-per-hour car every week. So it is very possible to use this process in a bunch of different ways. So think about the process of Scrum and the sort of the meetings that go into it, or the rituals as they're called. You have, at the very beginning, a product owner, somebody who is responsible for thinking about all the various different parts of the product, all the input from anybody who's a stakeholder. A stakeholder could be a customer. A stakeholder is the team who builds the product. It's the product owner. It's the executives who run the company. It is the people who rent the building to the company because they have a stake in making sure that a product works well. It could be beta testers. It's really anyone whose voice you want to have heard in the making of the product. The product owner takes all of that and distills the input, the feedback, and the vision for the product into something called a product backlog. Very simply, a product backlog is everything you would ever want to do to a product. Often, you will build it in terms of user stories. A user story is a discrete chunk of value. And it says, as a user of RX, I want to be able to move my audio between Pro Tools and RX quickly so that I am not interrupted in my workflow in fixing an audio glitch. Tells you who's doing it, tells you what the thing is that you're doing, and it tells you, most importantly, why. And that helps people understand this piece of functionality very much tied to something that a user values. The product backlog is made up of all of these bits of user value. When you sit down to do sprint planning, you take these and you estimate them. You try and figure out about how much effort you think they're going to take. Once you have figured out how much effort you think they're going to take in the sprint, which is a 2-week, 3-week, 4-week, in some cases up to a 6-week chunk of time, you keep adding user stories in priority order until the team says, we're full. That's as much work as we think we can complete. The product owner then goes on his merry way, thinking about the next set of things that need to get done, potentially doing customer interviews or talking to other folks to try and figure out what other things might be good for the product. And the team then takes that work and they get to figure out how. That is one of the critical pieces of Scrum. The team is always the group that figures out how something gets implemented. At the end of, so then they will do a meeting once every day. They'll stand up at the beginning of the day. And as a team, they will try and figure out where they're on track and where they're off track, usually by asking some variation of 3 very simple questions. Or answering a variation of 3 simple questions. What did I do yesterday that contributed to the sprint? What am I doing today that's contributing to completing the sprint? Where am I blocked? Where do I need help? That way, everybody in the team can look at that work and say, I think I can help you with that. Or I know a way that I can help you with that. Or for the love of God, don't get started on that yet because I'm working on this thing here. If you do that now, that's really going to mess up the work that I'm doing. At the end of that time, they come back together with the product owner, and the product owner gets a chance to look at the software that they've built and say, that is exactly the vision I had. That's great. Let's move on. That's not what I thought it was going to be. Here's some changes that I would suggest. Or, as is often the case, some mix of those two, and that's something I hadn't thought about. That's really cool. I'm going to write some new user stories that are going to take the product in a different direction than I had thought before. So as a way for engineers, for testers, for product designers, for UX designers, for beta testers, for anyone to influence the direction of a product, being able to communicate with the product owner, the product manager through the working software is one of the most powerful tools that we have to make sure that we all get a chance to talk about what a product is.